So I'm going to start off with the first question, and that is, what is your role in our community?
Yeah, so good question. I'm currently the watch commander for the Central Division swing shift. I work Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesdays right now. My role and responsibility is a lot different than what I was normally used to. Just a few months ago, I was actually in our homicide unit. I was a detective there, so I've transitioned out of that role as a detective and promoted to the rank of lieutenant. So now here I am, and I'm trying to get my feet wet in this new role. So I've been trying to go around to a lot of the community associations and community meetings in my areas, just to kind of get a feel for getting back in the swing of patrol from what I was doing. And honestly, it's been great. People have been very it's been nice to get back in uniform and get back into the community and start talking to people and answering questions. My job is essentially I oversee multiple districts in the Central Division. There's the sergeants who are responsible for the individual districts, and then the officers who actually go out and they respond to a lot of the calls for service in the area. And I am the lieutenant for that, what I was mentioning, the Central Division, which covers all the way from basically downtown all the way up to Alviso.
Wow.
So we had an incident at our community, and the officer who responded said that there was only 2 cars for our entire area. So can you tell us what our area is? I mean, are we all of like District 4, or are we like, I mean, I assume it's
so it's a little confusing because like community, your council member districts are going to be a little bit different than like your police districts. I used the term District Robert, I think before the official chat started when we were talking kind of offline there. And so you guys are considered District Robert. So probably what that officer was meaning was that there was 2 actual patrol vehicles, and sometimes our officers do double up. So there's 2 officers in each patrol car. And sometimes, especially like on later night or midnights, it's not uncommon for our officers in a particular district to go out with 4 officers sometimes. So that's not necessarily unheard of. And so for each district within that area, that would not be uncommon.
And what defines District Robert? Like, what are the boundaries?
Just off the top of my head, it goes all the way from Alviso to about I forget the exact cutoff, but around, I believe, like First and Gish area.
Okay.
And then kind of all the way, that's the first boundary, and then kind of it pushes all the way up until Milpitas almost.
Wow.
So if that you can kind of, it is quite large, yes.
And is that like common for most areas, or do you do it according to like the amount of crime that that happens in each district?
You know what, the defined districts have been around for a long time. I know there's always talk amongst our organization of doing redistricting and but they've been pretty much stayed the same for the last at least 20-30 years from what I've heard.
Okay. And so again, going to like how you apportion the number of officers, is that according to what the crime habits, I don't know how else to say it, have been?
Yeah, so they try to do it by call volume, and if that makes sense, like generate, how many calls are generated in a particular area, and then by a particular shift. Like swing shift is our busiest time for call volume. So a swing shift team will go out with, and this is not exact, and I shouldn't, I hope don't take me for exactly, but just for an example, like a swing shift team will go out with 6 officers, whereas a midnight shift in the same exact district will go out with 4, just as an example. So
is that like four officers in a car, or 2 officers and 2 cars?
It's up to the district sergeants and the officers. Like some officers enjoy going out, like we call it like a 2-man or 2-person car.
Yeah.
And it's where you have an officer driving and you have a front seat passenger. And then, or sometimes you have officers that just want to ride solo in a vehicle. So then a team of 4, you'll have 4 patrol vehicles out there. So
Oh,
it's
wow.
just kind of working with the patrol sergeant on what they feel comfortable with. Most of our calls for service are 2-person calls for service. Like we don't respond to a call for service without 2 officers responding.
Right.
So it's good. And it for us, it's like, we have to make a determination whether or not we want to have more cars in the district, or you're going to be having your partner basically automatically with you when you respond to a call. So there's a give and take for beneficial reasons on why you would want to do either.
Okay. So how is North San Jose rated? I've noticed we've had a little bit more crime lately in the last year. So how are we rated?
I don't know.
Is it true overall in San Jose, or is there more of a rise in our neighborhood? I think is what.
So I pulled I had our Mimi, who's on the call with us. She pulled the stats just for like the last 90 days, for example. So for the River Oaks area right there, the last 90 days, there's been a total of 70 calls, for example. So that's not, I don't know how that's necessarily compared to the other areas across the entire city. As far as pure call volume, maybe Mimi could touch on that as far as if it's out of the average. I think it's pretty normal. That doesn't seem particularly that high to me, just looking at it on its face value. There were a couple notable events, but I can talk about a couple of those just from the area. But nothing really jumped out as it being necessarily extremely like high crime area, particularly.
Okay.
Yeah. Hi, this is Mimi here. Nice to meet everyone again. Yeah, I agree with Lieutenant White. The activity the last 90 days is very common and average for the area. And when I submit the statistic to the lieutenants, we usually try to do the perimeter quarter mile from the River Oaks Neighborhood Association, so that you see what happens. So for example, this is a River Oak, and we do a quarter mile out from that pin for the last 90 days, and it's just general difference activity, but it's nothing violent, like Lieutenant said. Once in a while, it's not once a year or one every few years, you're going to see an incident that happened that rattle everyone up, but that's across the city. But in general, you have just a typical activity that you would see in the River of like 3-5 years ago when it started going to the neighborhood. So nothing really upticks in the area.
So are you familiar with the problem that is over at Parkside, where I guess a family decided to have a strip show, and there were a lot of families upset. Are you familiar with that? Because there were a lot of calls that came in to your police department.
When you say Parkside, can you give me a little bit more information? Because I read a lot, and it's not jumping up off the top of my head. But let me.
Parkside is a community, and it's along the River Oaks Parkway. And it's Camille Circle is the street that it would be on.
Yes, no. So I am familiar with that. Yeah, since you mentioned Camille Circle, yes, I am familiar with that. So actually, our division captain, she actually worked with our Sergeant Galea, and they were starting to come up with a game plan as far as tackling that issue. I read the letter from the association over there. Obviously it's very frustrating. I could tell obviously they were dealing with a big issue. But it sounds like it was handled and those people were removed from the area.
Oh, okay. Okay, that
was the last update I received, and that was back in early September. But it sounds like it was a pretty annoying summer that they had to deal with some issues, to say the least. So
Yeah,
I thought.
Yeah.
We had some bleed over in here.
Yeah.
We had one of the
Okay.
girls taking a shower outdoors with the hooked up to a hose in our complex, and she actually threw something at someone, and then she came back and hit someone, and so at that point they did arrest her. But
Yeah.
twice she came here after being there and took a shower in the public in her underwear.
Yeah. Yeah. You know, I would hate to say that in my line of work, nothing surprises me anymore, but yeah, nothing surprises me anymore. So I'm not shocked by that story that you told me. Yeah, unfortunately, sometimes when you have things like that, like underground nightclubs, and you have these area, you know, people convert houses into basically these illegal businesses, whether it be nightclubs or underground bars or strip clubs. Unfortunately, that kind of attention and that kind of behavior seems to kind of follow. So
Yeah.
I'm not shocked by it.
Oh, okay.
What about auto related crimes like catalytic converters or cars being stolen? Has there been an
Yeah.
increase or
No, so whoop, sorry. My thing fell. No, so for the last 90 days, like Mimi was mentioning, for the statistics, we had 3 reports of stolen vehicles. Out of those 3, actually there was 1 arrest made, which that is actually pretty good numbers as far as catching the person in the stolen vehicle. Just from I pulled the police reports on that, so that's a positive plus. So oftentimes we recover the vehicles, but not necessarily the suspect is in it when we recover it.
Right.
So us actually being able to catch the bad guy on that one is a good thing. As far as there was 1 reportable incident of an actual vehicle burglary, which are for your question, as far as like the catalytic converter stuff, those usually go hand in hand with a vehicle burglary, them removing something from the vehicle, or we also can sometimes consider it like vehicle tampering. So relatively low for, like Mimi said, that quarter-mile radius around your guys' area there.
Is there a place or where we can see what's going on in our neighborhood? I know at one time we could log in and go, oh wow, this happened here and that happened there, and
yeah. So Mimi, are you going to talk about like our crime, the website with pulling up crime stats at all, or can you talk about that?
Yes, hold on, let me see. Yes, absolutely. For the crime stat that you can pull up, the public can look at, you can go to sjpd.org. And there's a multiple tab on top of the web page.
right.
There will be one that says crime statistic, or crime information, a community, and there's a drop down.
Okay.
And you can go in there and enter just a generic address for a River Oaks associations. Right. And you can tailor that to read the last 90 days, the last month, last year, what have you. Just don't, and also you can tailor to read 100 feet from it or a quarter mile. Don't go out more than a quarter mile, because it's going to look like a war zone, because you don't really care about what happened a half a mile from you, right?
Yeah.
So that's the information that you can use as a public. You can tap into that website, and like gazillion information that you can use on it in terms of reporting online as well.
Oh, okay. That sounds great.
Yeah, it's cool. You can break it up and kind of see just kind of what's the activities going on in your neighborhood there.
Okay. I was about to ask, does anyone have any questions? So Eamon says, can we get an update on the murder which happened in the office building on River Oaks Parkway about a year ago? We never received or could find any information on that incident.
You know, so let me actually, I just got out of homicide, as I mentioned when I first came on. Let me, if you guys don't mind, I can actually maybe see if there's an update I can give you. I'm not super familiar with that off the top of my head, because if it wasn't assigned to me, I wouldn't just necessarily remember it. Do you remember what street that occurred on?
It's on River Oaks Parkway and Sealy. Yeah.
I might need to look up and get back to you guys on that one,
Okay.
just for the sake of time. But if you have, do you guys remember a date on which it occurred?
I'm looking it up right now. It was this report. Let me see the date. Of course they don't do it. It was
No, that's
that's the wrong one.
Yeah.
Sorry, hang on. Do you know, Eamon,
Yeah.
what date it was?
I think it was around the end of October or November, and it was on a Friday afternoon, about 2:30 in the afternoon.
Right, there it is, right there, guys.
Hang on, I'm looking it up. Hang on. This is so weird. I said you said it was that was listed as Sealy. I had it.
There it is. It was River Oaks.
Where?
I saw it.
Sorry.
Yeah,
We've got it totally together.
yeah, it was River Oaks right there.
This one?
Mm-hmm.
I just clicked on it. It didn't have any information.
Oh, okay. It was the River Oaks. The address was
Sealy?
it was. They talked about River Oaks Parkway, but Sealy is also
The actual address?
is a street
It
that
says the 600 block of River Oaks Parkway,
Mhm.
November 20th, 2020.
Yeah,
Oh,
It
okay.
was the
I-
35th homicide of the year.
yeah, I remember that now. It was not assigned to me, so I don't know exactly the status of that necessarily. But if you guys don't mind, I can look into it for you, and I can get back to you. Some stuff,
That would be-
obviously, with homicides, obviously, you know, some stuff is very much privatized. But if there is any kind of updates I can give you, I would be more than happy to share that with you. I have the case number, so it's no problem.
that's great.
I mean, I don't think we ever heard the victim's name was never ever released. I don't think, as far as I could find.
Okay.
We didn't know if there were two people involved or the guy just, you know, decided to end his life. We just had not heard anything.
Yeah. So I'll look
I
into
saw that you
that.
did drop the link in the chat room, right, Jean?
Yeah, I just dropped it in, and that's the from your guys' website from that
Yeah, the
date.
press release. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, got it.
Does anybody else have any questions for Lieutenant White?
Or Mimi.
Or
Sorry.
Mimi, yeah. We did have Mimi out, I believe it was last year, and over at Elon,
Yeah.
the apartments, and we did go through the neighborhood watch. We did that. So
Yes, we
it was good. Yeah, it was good to see you again.
Likewise.
Anything else?
I can't think of anything, but speaking of the neighborhood watch, if I think we got a couple of the signs for the neighborhood watch. If somebody wanted to get more signs, where would we go to do that?
Or you just need to have to host another meeting.
Oh,
It's
another
like
meeting,
a
okay.
diploma. If you don't go to
Okay.
the meeting, you're not gonna get
Yeah.
your diploma.
I see.
You know what? We probably will have another one. I don't know if we'll have it by the end of this year because we've got 2 more months.
Yeah.
I mean, we our meetings are held the first Wednesday of every month. So we've got November and December. I don't know how busy you are for November. You know, the first Wednesday in November. If you want to.
Do you have one in December?
We have the first Wednesday in December. We could do that. Have another neighborhood watch.
Yeah, I'm looking at my calendar right now, and I think November, the first Wednesday, I can firmly book it for you, and then I will work with Lieutenant White as well as other patrol officers if we can come and do a quick hours refreshing course. And I know it's closer to the holiday.
I
We
know.
can also incorporate the holiday safety for the community as well, rather than just on neighborhood watch. We can
Right.
do a touch on holiday safety for you guys.
That's perfect.
That would be
Yeah.
very much appreciated.
Yeah.
I know within our own community in the Villaggio area, we have a lot of people who have been noticing people messing about with cars, like we said, the lady taking a shower. One person did have their catalytic converter stolen, and we found a heavy duty jack hidden in the bushes, so we threw that away.
Okay, yeah,
We
definitely.
suspected it was for stealing more catalytic
Yeah.
converters.
But
And so I know that there's been an increase.
bicycles,
Oh yeah, bicycles
Yeah,
stolen.
yeah.
So
Mhm.
I know there's been an increased interest in the neighborhood watch since we had the last meeting.
yeah,
A lot of people have been saying we should have, so in our community, we have 13 buildings, and each building is shaped like a lowercase e. And so people are talking about having little captains within each building. Not, like it's not enough just for the little neighborhood. They want each building to have a captain. So
Oh, that would be fun.
yeah, I think that there's a lot of interest in it now.
Lieutenant White, can you make November the 3rd? I mean, November, when is it? November?
First week
First
of November,
is-
or no, did you say December or
No,
November?
no, November.
Okay,
Let's do November. Let's do next month. Let's see
November
if the
1st.
lieutenant.
Yeah.
November
Let's
1st.
check the lieutenant availability.
Let me check my calendar real quick.
Okay. Because we get a lot, we will have a lot of turnout.
Yeah.
You said November 1st?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, that works with my schedule.
Okay,
Okay.
great. So, that's perfect.
So it'll be a neighborhood watch special edition for holidays.
Right.
Yes. Oh, there you go.
Yeah.
It's like a
And-
Hallmark thing.
Yeah, yeah. And we will be over at the Elon Apartments. So,
Okay.
and I will confirm, and set the appointment up over there and confirm upstairs. And I don't know if, Lieutenant White, are you familiar with Elon Apartments?
I've been in the area. I haven't actually been
Okay.
into the building though. So
Okay.
yes, I've been by the area though.
Okay, that's where it is. I'll give you all the details
Okay.
when we do that. Okay, great. That's perfect. So does anybody else have any questions? And do you guys have any questions for us?
Not Lieutenant.
No, so if I'm not available, Lieutenant Mueller is also the others. Like I said, I work Sunday through Wednesday, and then Lieutenant Mueller also works Wednesday through Saturday. So if you have any concerns, I think Jeannie, I think you called and left messages with both of us. So he's also available. I talked to him today. I told him I would be here
Okay.
representing us at the meeting, but he's more than happy to be available to you guys if you have any questions. But he
Great.
honestly, his side of the week, just because of busy Friday, Saturday nights, usually he actually has a lot more some of the busy calls for service that you guys might see on issues that come up with as far as like people throwing loud parties, things like that, more towards like the weekend type issues.
Right.
So he might be able to help address any kind of questions you have on those.
Okay,
I
great.
do have one more question. So are officers rotated out through the Robert one, or is it like you have certain officers who are always there for like a year tour, or is it do we have like regular officers?
So we had a year-long shift this last shift, so you've had the same officers out there for an entire year. We usually in the past have had a lot of 6-month shifts of people, and so we're going back to the 6-month model. A year in one district and you're locked into that, is usually a long time for officers, we found. So that's why we went back to the 6-month model. I'm here for an entire year. So from lieutenants and above, it's longer, but from the sergeants and officers right now, we have a 6-month rotation.
Okay. And you said they just switched, so we have new officers in our.
Sorry. So it's starting with our next bid, which comes up in, I believe, shift change will be November 11th.
Okay.
So starting in November, potentially, we're going to have a bunch of new faces out here, sergeants and officer wise. So I'll be sure, but I'm going to still be out here.
Okay.
So I'll be the consistency face that you guys can talk to if you need anything.
Okay, great. Well, I feel really good about this. So, and I can't wait to see you all November the 1st. So,
Perfect.
Yeah, so if anybody else has any questions, I'm going to close it. Anybody? Okay, well, thank you all for coming, and we'll see you November the 1st.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Take care.
Okay.
Thank you,
Yes,
Jean.
bye-bye.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you,
Thank you,
Lieutenant.
Gene. Looking forward
Okay.
to it.
Bye bye.
All right.
Okay,
Bye-bye.
bye-bye.